These are the key secrets to unravel about the mysteriousness of Virgo men. And I'm going to give you 5, maybe more. I might lose track, I might lose count, but let's say we're going to do 5 and we'll see where we get. Let's talk about what it's like to date a Virgo male. Unpack the secrets, really get into the personality of the Virgo male if you're interested in one, if you're dating one, if you're in a long-term relationship with one, or maybe you are a Virgo male. I've never dated a Virgo male personally. I've never dated a male personally, but let's put on our astrological glasses and dive in. This video is sponsored by Tasty Burger. Not really, but it could be. You want to sponsor my video? You should. Not really sure about the crossover between Astrology and Tasty Burger, but you know, who knows? The door is open. Virgo is also known to be a pretty health conscious sign. So fast food sponsor, I don't really know. I have actually been eating paleo recently. My girlfriend has got me on this diet, mostly grain-free, mostly wheat-free. I have a hard time giving up sugar though. I got a burger with a lettuce wrap, no bun. I don't know. I'm gonna stop talking though. Let's actually get into the video. Virgo men make an intimidating first impression. That's number 1. Virgo men project this mysterious bad boy energy onto the world. One of my closest friends and fraternity brothers in college, he was a Virgo moon. He'd be roasting the absolute heck out of me if I was saying that statement. Like, ooh, Virgo men, they project bad boy energy onto the world. I would definitely get roasted for that comment. What happened, man? You were a successful attorney and now you're on the internet telling strangers that Virgos project bad boy energy onto the world. Come on. No, I'm only kidding. I'm still a successful attorney. We're just seeing how far this astrological black hole can really go. Now, think about the qualities that you normally associate with a lawyer and an attorney. I am not personally a Virgo. I don't think I embody the most stereotypical traditional lawyer, but think about those stereotypical qualities. I think they describe a Virgo well, right? A penetrating, discerning, analytical type of mind. You'll be like, hey, I see you're going out. Are you going to the grocery store to pick up some buffalo chicken dip, or you're just gonna stay home and relax for a little bit? And they're like, no, I'm not going to the store, but I'm also like not about to relax right now. That wouldn't be an accurate statement. I'm actually gonna go crunch some numbers on Microsoft Excel, make some charts and graphs and analyze stuff. Okay, let's get serious. The energy that Virgo men project, this kind of bad boy persona, it's not necessarily a flamboyant energy. It's not a performative energy. It's just kind of there. It's more silent. It's more composed. It's more, hey, I've been a bad boy. I've been a bad boy in past lives. I'm chill, all right? I'm cool. There's this natural air of confidence, a natural air of competence. Virgo isn't tumbling through life like a pinball in a pinball machine. They're the levers, batting the pinball around, directing it exactly where they want it to go. And when they set the high score in pinball, they're very keen to let you know that none of that was luck or happenstance. It was all a strategy. It was all a long-term plan. They knew what they were doing. It's this attitude with Virgo men. Sometimes it's just like, I'm over it. I'm not saying this is an accurate assessment of their personality, but I think it is representative of the impression that they have on people or what people sense in them when they first get to know them or meet them. This would especially be true, obviously, for someone with a Virgo ascendant, but it's also true if someone is a Virgo sun, Virgo moon, or is otherwise Virgo dominant in their chart. It's this, I could go there if I wanted to, but like, I don't want to. Maybe I will. I don't know. You don't really know. Virgo men can look very intimidating. They can also appear somewhat shy or reserved. They can look very unapproachable, or they're too good for you, or they're too good to talk to you. Virgo sits on the 6th house of the Zodiac, opposite the 12th house. Maybe this is where some of that mysteriousness comes from. The wisdom and intensity and mysteriousness of house 12 is integrated in the daily, tangible, habitual life of the 6th house. That mysteriousness, though, it's not fully solved. It's brought and worn by the Virgo person in their daily life in the material and observable plane. So maybe that explains why these folks can appear a little bit intimidating. They show their competence, they show their confidence in how they carry themselves, but they wear the mysteriousness. It's a good look. I think it works for them. Number 2, Virgo is often misunderstood. Virgo is a sign of mastery and control. If they're there to play the game, they're gonna play the game in the best way that they know how, and they're gonna play to win. Or else they don't really wanna play at all. They're gonna cast the whole thing aside. But as they're winning, they also wanna make sure that it doesn't look like they're trying too hard to win. But they are trying. Okay, this is getting very abstract. What the hell do I even mean by playing the game? It's anything that Virgo decides to commit themselves to. Work or school or a relationship. If something in a Virgo man's life can't fulfill a purpose or solve a problem or fulfill a goal, or even if it's something that he just can't understand, right? It doesn't fit into his worldview or his intellectual understanding of the world, he's gonna cast those things aside. If he has no use for it, doesn't understand it, boom. It's like a kid that doesn't want to eat their vegetables, right? They have tunnel vision, they're not even thinking about it. It's gone, it's out of their mind. It doesn't exist in their universe. He's not gonna pretend to like it, nor is he going to admit that he doesn't understand it. It's just cast aside. That's why you see Virgo men have a very deliberate selection of friends in their inner circle, especially with the Virgo moon or the Virgo Venus placement. They have tremendous bonds with the people that they've decided to keep in their life. These people are in, other people, you're out. It's like a bouncer in an exclusive club, right? There's no maybes. You're on the list or you're off the list. And if you're off the list, probably not getting in. And you're on the list, it's a good spot to be. It's good to be on the list. I mean, if you like going to the club, that particular club, or you like this particular Virgo man, if not, maybe you don't really care, right? Today is state the obvious day, apparently. So like when a Virgo man can't understand something or comes across certain experiences or concepts that don't fit or integrate into his worldview, he basically casts them aside by devaluing them. It's not, oh, I don't understand them. It's silently, I don't understand them. But outwardly, it's like not that important. It's meritless to the Virgo man. For Virgo men that, for lack of a better word, just don't have their shit together, this kind of tension and need to kind of put things aside or cast things off, it takes over for them, and sometimes in pretty unhealthy ways. Again, I'm talking about unevolved Virgo men. Maybe they've been rejected from success or have blockages that they can't traverse, so they have to reject things wholesale to protect. And that's when you start seeing some of these struggling Virgos acting more a little bit like their opposite sign, like sort of unhinged Pisces people, indulging more in fantasy and in drugs, and totally neglecting traditional sixth house themes like hygiene and habits and cleanliness. For other Virgo men, casting aside things in their life, making decisions, classifying things, that's just how they go about experiencing the world. When you come across a Virgo man who's not super bubbly or over the top, sometimes it's a front, right? Sometimes it's a front. It's them being focused on what's important to them and not caring about what's going on outside. Sometimes it's actually born out of some feeling of having been hurt. In either case, there's not a utilitarian value for them to just maintain an appearance or pretend to care about people that they actually don't. So why do it? So they can seem shy sometimes, but it's a way for them to like not have to talk to people. And whether that's just because they don't have an interest in making friends or whether they don't want to be hurt or rejected in social situations, it's like an operational decision for them to not have to deal with it, to like make some people go away. Most of the time, Virgos are very fine doing what they want to do alone. They find enjoyment in doing things as solo activities. They enjoy solo travel. It's not that they're destined to be loners or even more likely to be loners than another sign, but they're also not one to force connection when it's not there or just doesn't make sense for them. So one thing you'll see is that if you actually do go up and engage with them, even if they seem like they have a very unapproachable demeanor, they are actually mostly very nice people. Sometimes they have walls up, but they're the type of walls that are willing to come down. We'll talk about that more in a bit. Point is, they just don't necessarily want to or need to be bubbly or over the top. But, and I'll talk about it more later, they can be drawn to those qualities in another person. Number 3, Virgos have very high standards when it comes to relationships. They have high standards for a partner, it's true, but there's a practical basis for that. Some people have lists like this for partners for their own vanity or for their own insecurity. I need all these things in a partner because I'm insecure with myself. Some people need a perfect partner, a perfect list of traits because they need validation. Like, I need a partner that has great body, great hair, she's this way. I want these very specific bodily features, and she has to be very successful at work and like all this stuff. And I'm not settling until I get someone with all those things. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And Virgo isn't necessarily opposed to having those kind of lists or having standards in those kind of ways, but it's a little bit different for Virgo men. They approach it more, I know that the right relationship with someone is going to take a lot of work. I know that the relationship that I want ultimately is going to take a lot of work. In addition to attraction, compatibility, physical attraction, like I need someone that I know that I can build a really strong connection with in order for me to like make the effort worth it, right? I'm not just gonna be with someone for the hell of it or because I'm lonely or something. Of course, some people who experience Virgo men can find themselves hurt or run into painful experiences because unfortunately, the Virgo man just decided that that person wasn't in that category for them. Something that was casual just didn't go to the more serious stage. Once a Virgo man makes that decision, or at least when he decides to act on it, again, they're able to kind of cast those things aside, and they're able to cast relationships they don't see a future with aside. And if you're on the receiving end of it and that threw you off or that was hurtful, I mean, that sucks. Virgo men can be very good at saying no, just bluntly, no, not for me. Sometimes that hurts. Number 4, unevolved Virgo men can be particularly hard sometimes to deal with. And this is a little bit of a continuation of what I was just talking about. While hearing no sucks, sometimes that's all you can really ask for, right? There's no guarantees in life, especially in early dating phases. There's no lifetime guarantees or warranties. There just isn't. You can't demand that anyone loves you, and when someone says they don't or they don't have those feelings, you have to accept it. Well-integrated and evolved and mature Virgo men can be good at communicating that in a tactful way and at an appropriate time, right? Where it kind of makes sense. They either will set strong boundaries from the beginning, or they're upfront about what they want, or they make sure to let the person know before it gets too serious that, hey, this is not something I see long term. The hallmark of a mature Virgo man is they've found a sense of security and safety and confidence just in their self, right? They don't need to seek it out in someone else. Sometimes that power, that maturity develops after having gone through and navigated big challenges in their life. Virgos learn how to balance the intensity to want to create order and organize and maintain the chaos of their life, with also an ability to engage other people and to be emotionally available and to be both disciplined and grounded, but also emotionally receptive to a potential serious love. And because of the former, they're not dependent on the relationship or the connection having to work out, or they don't have to get validation from the other person. Unevolved Virgo men typically are failing at that self-reliance part, and then can sometimes embody like less evolved Piscean traits of like really needing to merge into someone to feel okay. And they rush into these intense kind of more physical or sexual relationships with people very quickly to fulfill a need within themselves, while still not really being emotionally available or very present on an existential level with another person. They can quickly merge with partners in one dimension, but in another dimension, they're completely not there. And when that situation becomes a little bit too hard to manage or too out of balance, again, they'll just cast the person aside and kind of go on and move on to the next thing. It's like people connect with this like deep, dark intensity with them in a certain direction, but then they just are like completely cold in like another direction or another moment, which sucks. So if you've had an experience with an unevolved Virgo, that can be painful, but that is not representative of the entire sign, of course. Number 5, I think we're on number 5. Virgo men tend to do really well with partners that are actually very expressive and over the top, that act in ways that actually counterbalance the sort of natural disposition of Virgo man. The thing with Virgo men is that they're so controlled and so subdued sometimes that they don't always attract the people that they actually probably really want to be in connection with or bring into their lives, because they're acting in a way that gives others maybe an inaccurate perception of who Virgo man really is. For people that are interested in Virgo men, maybe something to keep in mind is that one strategy to get to know them and break down their walls is actually to like really be your most authentic, expressive, over the top self. Be that way. Like try and break them down a little bit, or just be vulnerable and see how they respond. I know that's a scary proposition, but sometimes Virgo men just like they need it and they're attracted to that. They're not going to act that way as the first step, but if you are able to do it, they're going to be kind of drawn to that. A lot of times you see Virgo men in like a Dharma and Greg situation. That may be dating a lot of people who are watching this, or if you're not in the US, you may not know what that is. But basically, this concept is found. It's a sitcom where it's like the hyper corporate, clean-cut male is in love with and marries like the super hippy dippy yoga instructor who's super spiritual and was raised by hippie parents. It's that balance and harmony of total opposites. Corporate world, very like tight-laced, very, kept, versus just like completely expressive and emotional. Virgo man is actually, it's because he's attracted to a lot of things that he is not. For Virgo, think about where it comes in the Zodiac. Leo is actually the 12th house sign to Virgo. In other words, Leo traits, that expressiveness, that spontaneous creativity, that ability to be on the stage of life and to just express your complete individuality, those are all qualities that are repressed naturally in the sign of Virgo. They're 12th house qualities for Virgo. And so they're there and they want to escape. They need expression, but they're a little bit trapped inside Virgo man. He wants the excitement, enrichment, area of life that expression of life has to offer, and he can participate in that and live vicariously and cultivate even some of those traits himself by supporting a partner that embodies those traits so fully and so outward. These type of partners soften Virgo men, bring out their great sense of humor. It's a dark sense of humor, it's a dry sense of humor, but it's a great sense of humor. The real tenderness underneath the edges of Virgo man can really bring that out, as long as potential partners have a thick enough skin to be willing to be their most authentic, emotionally expressive selves, even in the beginning when it seems like Virgo man can appear a little bit cold. They can't take it personally. Number 6, I think Virgo men have a tremendous ability to express love, but their love language isn't over-the-top affection, it's problem solving. They're incredibly good listeners, and they'll listen to what you have to say, and they'll like you and respect you for your ability to be vulnerable and completely lay your soul bare and to tell them what's going on in the deepest recesses of your being. Tell them your whole life story. Tell them about things that really affected you. Tell them about things that really affected you. That will soften them up, usually. This happens in those kind of opposites attract type of relationships, and it's really remarkable the kind of synergy that's created between those two people in that kind of relationship. However, you also have to be aware that they do have this tendency sometimes to psychoanalyze, right? And to not be able to totally meet you on such an emotionally bare level, which sometimes can be hard. It can be a little bit lonely or painful when you're just not totally met there. Sometimes Virgo men can intentionally or unintentionally act like a little bit of a know-it-all in those type of moments. They're just not going to be able to be as openly self-aware, as openly vulnerable, as openly honest about their mistakes and their flaws and their errors in life and their insecurities. And to the extent you share those openly and they don't, like I said, even regardless of how they respond to it, there's an inherent misalignment that can be created. And that might suggest to you from them that, they're saying, oh, I have it all figured it out, right? I'm not worried about, none of that stuff bothers me. I'm fine, right? Like I don't struggle with those things. I'm self-actualized. Not saying that that's actually what they think, but I'm just saying that the misalignment can kind of sometimes create that vibe. They also sometimes have the tendency to want to problem solve, and they usually do have a very penetrating and valuable insight into a lot of complex underpinnings of things that are happening or that you might be experiencing. And so they might make a suggestion or attempt to connect a dot for you in an attempt to be helpful. But sometimes that can feel like, I don't know, a little bit of salt in a wound when you're really just looking for validation, or you want to open them up or find communion in a shared vulnerable experience. And they're, again, doling out this advice acting as though like, oh, they've already been through all of that. They've gone through it. They've already acquired that wisdom. They know how to solve this problem, which they're, so kindly providing you the answers to now, which, that's annoying. It can feel annoying. Again, even without any malice on the part of either person. Most of the time though, Virgo man's willingness to listen and to offer advice and to try to help you solve problems, it's such a nice thing in a relationship. They want to serve the people that they love, and they want to make things better. They want to solve problems. They want to make things better. And if you come at them with that understanding, it's easier to bridge other misunderstandings, right? I guess that's obvious, but you know what I'm saying. And lastly, just building off this, Virgo men really make fantastic partners with the right people. With the right person, Virgo brings their gifts of intensity and the softness of their tender insides, their tender core, which finds safety, which finds expression in the relationship with the right person to balance them out. He wants to water the relationship. He wants to find ways to make it a success, to problem solve if it is a relationship that he wants to commit to and sees a future with. He will be steadfast and he will be loyal and he will put up boundaries against other things, other external things that threaten the success and the long-term health of the relationship. The ability to make decisions and say no to things that threaten the primacy, again, in the maintenance of the relationship is a really awesome trait to have in a partner. Yes, sometimes he needs to lighten up and chill the heck out. And sometimes his criticality and coldness can get on your nerves. But his sense of confidence, his sense of competence, his ability to fulfill his role, his penetrating mind, his dark sense of humor, that bad boy energy, that practical, deliberate nature. It's a fantastic long-term match for the right partner. Just, be mindful of some of the things I've talked about in this video.